About that, we had a little technical difficulty. That's what happens when you got four guys from Brooklyn doing a live show.
Well, you got Vitale's got that quiet storm voice going in.
I'm mic'd up tonight. I'm mic'd up.
You know, we stepped up the equipment this week, so I think.
We shut it down. But getting back to the main man, Todd, I wanted to ask you, because I see different interviews, but just to get back to the basics, you're from Brooklyn, correct?
Definitely Brooklyn.
And you're Brighton, Brooklyn?
I'm born in Utica Avenue, St. Mary's Hospital, then we moved to Coney Island, then I moved to Brighton Beach.
Nice. And then we got, when did you start DJing?
I mean, the real start was like, we used to hang out at this place called the Bazaar on like Brighton 14th Street. It's like, you know, they used to play music. Oh man, I don't know, like 82 or something like that, somewhere back then.
I was born in the 80s.
And we used to go there and hang out, and they used to play music or whatever. So it was a friend of mine's, Larry D. So we used to go up there and just like watch him do whatever he does. He used to just play records and move on to another record, whatever like that. So that's when I got kind of.
Was it like disco and stuff, or what was he
playing? Disco, funk,
soul. How old were you at that point?
It was in freestyle. Yeah, I mean, I must have been like 14, 15 around then.
And that's where you got the
I I didn't get the real itch for it until like the next year later. It's like when I was just standing there and he's just playing all this stuff. And I think like some of the first like rap records came out or whatever, and break beats and stuff like that. He started cutting up break beats. So he was like, wait a minute, how are you like, catching the beat and everything like that? Then that was it. I was floored by that. And I was like, yeah, I started
off producing hip hop.
Yeah. We was more hip hop and cutting up break beats and stuff like that, and we just scratch everything.
So where did that transition come from hip hop to house music?
That came much later. I mean, first I was like in the hip hop, and then I went into like freestyle. I went into like pop and freestyle stuff, and then.
But when you said you went into the freestyle, but that was as far as on the production side.
Yeah.
And at that point, the other thing is, what were you doing? Like equipment-wise, you always had like the most gangster setups, and you were doing.
There was no gangster setup. It was
no gangster. As
low
far as
gangster.
Like this, yeah, just like
primitive gangster.
A toaster in and get.
Yeah. No, I bought a DR55 drum machine. That's what I used to play with at first for all the hip hop stuff. Then I beat that to death, and then I got into the Casio RZ1. And then that's when I started really like getting technical, trying to learn how to loop beats and everything like that. And then,
can we take a step back for just a second? Yeah. So you started DJing, right? But when did you know that you wanted to start making your own tracks and making music?
I went to, I don't know, we snuck in a club. I guess it was 15, 16 or whatever. We got into a club, and we was like, I was mesmerized by that. And then going to clubs and stuff like that. It was in Roseland, had fake ID and stuff like that. The pretty boy tie on and everything, whatever I could do to get in, And, I used to just be mesmerized by the music that was playing, And then I said, wow, that'd be great because I was already into break beats, so it'd be great if that record was just a complete break beat. Yeah. And that's when I really got into take all the good parts and just use just the good parts. Yeah, that was when your brain started working. I started thinking about how to really do something like that. And sure enough, I did some rap records. I worked on this and that and everything like that. But then I did, one of my friends say, "Yo, I got this girl that can sing. You should do like a pop record." And I was like, "All right, whatever." So I
so
did
it went
the beats.
From hip hop to pop.
Well, to play freestyle pop. Yeah.
Yep.
And
where did the Italian disco come in? Because I know that you used to play Italian disco.
With the freestyle stuff, like, because I was playing, like when I was DJing, I was playing weddings, bar mitzvahs, whatever, sweet 16s, whatever I could get my hand on. We used to go and DJ.
Okay.
Which is all about let's just DJ. It didn't matter. So you had to play everything. You got to realize it was like Prince records, Make Me Want to Shout, Isley Brothers. You had to play everything.
I know all about that because that's what I do.
Yeah. So you had to get into any and everything. So I knew everything from hauling notes to this to that, blah blah. You had to play any and everything for those parties. So I was just like well grounded into all types of different music. And then
so do you think that helped you in
most
the way
definitely
you create your music?
Most definitely. Yeah, like I always got an element of this and that and pop and breakbeat and melody and stuff like that because I came from all those worlds, getting into music. So I it's in every one of my records. I'm going to do something that is familiar to something else. Like it's just I can't even help myself, you know.
And then like when you obviously the freestyle stuff you did to this day, those records are staples in freestyle. Whether it's the Fascination and the just all those records. They just the choral records. I mean, those records sound as fresh today as they did then. Which to me, I always say it's like music with longevity.
Yeah.
Those records are 25, 30 years old. And
well, there's songs too. I think songs is a powerful thing. No matter what, you could do tracks forever. There's a million tracks out now, but I think a song, melody with a song, it just carries a lot longer.
But now getting back into your sampling, when you made the transition from the freestyle into the house, you were doing stuff that in one end you were pissing off like the black purists, because you would you'd go out like you were saying and you'd hear bra.
Well, I'll tell you the whole house story.
Go bang,
well,
and then you're taking them and you're putting this twist on them that was so appealing to basically all like this white, all these records were being played in the garage with these black clubs. You were taking them and saying, you know what? I'm going to take the best parts and I'm going to make this stuff, credible for these white. And I mean, your family
it's just so I knew. You got to realize Brighton Beach was, Filipino, Italians. I mean, you hear the way I talk. I can't even. You're going like this. I'm like Guido. I'm Black Guido. I can't even help it. And it's like it's just where I grew up. It's like that styles, all the music that my friends used to play in their houses and stuff, like the block parties, the barbecues. Everything is just well-rounded of all types of different music. And I mean, I'll tell you how I got into the house stuff. It was more like I was, in my room doing freestyle records or whatever like that, and Mike Delgado and Trax came to my house one day and said, "Yo, man, you got to do something that's like house music." And they come in the house, and they dancing and everything and playing me the stuff off a cassette. And I'm like, I said, "Why you like this? Like this is like the same. It's like the same beat all the time. Like what is this? Is a joke? Like this don't got no beat. Like where's the beat to it?" And he's like, "No, man, it's like a straight groove, and it's just got the bass lines and stuff like that. You should try one of these." I was like, "Oh man, I don't. All right, I'll try one of everything. Yo, let me know when you're done with it." So the first house record I did was Party People. But the funny story about it is I was joking around. If you listen to the record, it's a joke. I'm going pop, 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 party. Like I'm just playing around and joking around, and the beat and the samples is all just like gibberish joking.
And that's just from the first time the needle dropped. I forgot where I was, whether it was in the pool or in Vinyl and just. It was the most. To this day, I used to tell you, I could wake a funeral like that beat is undeniable and a game changer. I think that beat.
I just think that the power behind that beat. I mean, for me, hearing that song, like when you're standing outside the club and you hear it on the sound system, you hear like that roar, like. Dun,
I didn't care.
Dun.
That's what it is.
How did you make that sound?
I didn't care. I didn't really care about it.
It's like a roaring record.
Yeah.
See, what's funny, being my age, like I didn't know any of those old records until I heard Missing.
Oh, okay.
So I'm 35 now. Like 1994, I started DJing in 95. And I heard Missing, and then I went back to learn all the Todd stuff after hearing that record.
Oh, so yeah. So that's a way to figure out things though too, because sometimes you got to go back to learn where it all came from.
I have a connection to the Royal House, Party People. Like when I was 10 years old, my brother used to DJ at this club out in Montana's. In Long Island, it was called Montana's.
Right.
And they booked Royal House.
Oh yeah.
So he brings me there on a Friday night. It's teen night. I'm 10 years old, standing there, and here comes strolling in Royal House. It was like 3 or 4 people. They're singing, they're dancing, and there was somebody on the keyboard doing the pop, 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 pop.
I think they won the Grammys that following Sunday. I remember that.
That was funny as hell. Yeah, like the guy from the label, he put together a group, and I was just like, whatever. I didn't really care about things much. My whole thing was just, let me just get some money so I can give my mom some money so I could just not get thrown out the house.
So what about Jungle Brothers? Did you put that record together?
What happened was that I did Can You Party? We did Party People. Then I came out with Can You Party, and then I just had a bunch of tracks floating around, Day in the Life and all this stuff floating around. And then Tony's like, "Oh, we should do a rap version to this thing." And I was just like, "Well, who's gonna rap on it?" They said, "Yo, Phil in Africa, Jungle's gonna do it." I was like, all right, well, here's the bonus beat or whatever like that. So, we chopped up the bonus beat. So I left that day, like, I had to go do something. When I came back, it was like practically done. So all I did was just like squeeze the vocals, and it was done. It was like
Tony,
was
by
finished.
the way, is Tony D from Idlers.
Yeah. It was done in like 5 hours, like finished. Like the way we squeezed it was like, oh, that's it. And I was like, when I took it home and listened to it, I was like, this is retarded. Like this, come on, this can't possibly work. Because everything was just so blasé to me. I didn't really get a grip on anything yet because life was just moving fast. It's like I'm all of a sudden like from one year to the next year, it's like I'm in my mom's house, but then I'm not really in my mom's house. I got a new car, I'm out in the street, I'm polying, I got a different swagger when I walk. It's crazy. Like I just turned from one person to another, you know?
That whole time, I think the party people, I mean, obviously I'll house you, but that just put you through a zone.
It was just, I didn't really get a grip on what was going on until I got requested to go to London. Like I didn't really, to me it still was all just a big blur.
You're locally, you're at 1018.
It's just like me and my boys in the neighborhood just talking. We talking. Hey, you want a drink? Let's get a beer. Like it's like wasn't really cared about. It's just we got some money in our pocket. Let's go and bug out and whatever and do whatever. So it really just stood in my head as a neighborhood poly thing. Like I'm just the biggest kid in the neighborhood, and that's all I cared about. It's like I just want to walk down and mush kids and like, yo, it's Todd, I can mush you. Like, so I just got 3 records out. I'm hot.
Yeah.
So going overseas is what really put you on the map as a DJ, right?
Woke me up. We went out there. The story that's missing was the Bango record. Yes. And what happened was the Bango record, I gave it to a reel to give it to like Larry Levan, and he played it, and that was it. That was like. It was like
because Go Bang was such a tremendous record
and then
garage.
Larry killed it for like he was like throwing it on and taking it off, and he just murdered it. And
which when you think about that, Larry wasn't really playing those records at that point, and you were like the first guy, and then to touch that record, that was like the holy grail.
Well, he was. I think Larry was just waiting for the classic that fit his classics, and that was the one. Yeah. It wasn't Move Your Body and all that
it wasn't where you were like.
It was more like one of his really dominant classics. Was Bango, and when that came in there, that was.
And again, that had such a unique sound.
Yeah, that's it's like I said, I ran into Larry, and that's the first thing he said. He says, "Look, man, you found a sound. You got to just roll with it." And I told him, I said that you got to realize a lot of my records, they're all the same. Those big records with the same beat. It was the same beat. Back to the Beat, Can You Party, Bango.
Well, you know what's funny?
Swan Lake, all that was the same beat.
I always say like most DJs suck. Yeah. And it's like say 95%. You have no idea what they're doing. But when you were putting records out, because of that drum pattern, everybody felt like they were fucking.
Oh yeah, because they could just cut it in and it was good.
Shit, like and all of a sudden, we can go in and check
the next one. They had a routine.
They do Todd Terry hour, and they think that they were.
No, it's good. I mean,
the record's got good drops. To the Batmobile. Let's go check this out.
It was all the same, like you said. It was all the same.
Follow through.
But those records, I mean, for me personally, I still play those records. A lot of them.
I think a lot of DJs.
Yeah, and I mean those were big. I mean those are big worldwide records, but especially in Brooklyn, those records are huge. They're huge records.
So who is some of the DJs coming up that inspired you to make these records?
As far as records, I could go back to like Roseland. It was like, Disco Twins and Baby D and all these different like DJ Raul at Broadway 96, Tony Smith at Funhouse with Jelly Bean. All that was inspiring to me. Just all the sounds and the unique things going on. I was just learning how to really manipulate to make records, that was my whole key.
And then from there, I think, you got to talk about the Louis thing because I remember, I had met Louis a little bit before you, but you have always been like, you're
I'll tell you the story.
United Nations. Everybody meets everybody for you. Well, and I remember going with you to see him at different places, and he always was like, he was the perfect guy for you to like, here's an acetate, here's a reel, and he was the perfect guy.
But that's still the before the house era. That's still more into that was the freestyle era. And how I met Louis really before everybody, because Louis got hired. His first record was he got hired for a record that I did. This record by Nick Barnes called All My Love. That's how I met Louis. He got hired for that. He walks in the studio. I was like, "What's up, man?" Because he just did Running and all that stuff. And so Louis had this little hype on him, and he got hired to do my record. Record never came out or whatever. It was random cocaine company or whatever, and he got high for that. And it was just like crazy, like how we met each other like that. And then I started hanging out with Heartthrob, because I knew Jelly Bean through him, through this and that. And I started bringing him reel-to-reels and stuff like that. So it was crazy.
So you met Louis first, and then you introduced him to Kenny.
Well, I met Louis. Louis was like on another side of things, and then I met Mike Delgado and Kenny through that whole Bay Ridge side, because I used to hang out there all the time with all my crew there and stuff like that. And it's just like, just two different, like this would be my Manhattan crew and that would be my Brooklyn crew, something like that or whatever. Then we all started hanging out together.
So Masters at Work, you did a lot of records on the Masters at Work.
Yeah, I did 2 records on the Masters. I did 2 records, All Right, and Dum Dum Cry. That, like I said, it was like freestyle house merging type of time. And Kenny used to work at the Music Factory on 46th Street in Bay Ridge.
Records.
And he had a record. Was it record? No, it was Music Factory. Was it Record Center?
No, it wasn't.
Music Factory was on Kings Highway.
Yeah, there was also one on JP. No, it's Record Center.
So the brain is going. The brain is going. And so yeah, then I took Kenny to Heartthrob. He was like mad young. We got him in, and I introduced him to Louis. So everybody just started hanging out with each other. And then the next thing you know, they wanted to start their own thing while I was doing this other thing, and they needed a name. And it was like, Kenny was like always in the Masters at Work crew, because it was really me, Mike Delgado and Franklin Martinez that was Masters at Work. Yeah. And then so it just kind of seamlessly just went to them, and then they changed the sound anyway, so that made it really dope. Like how they transformed the sound to make it really work for a better. It went to the next level.
So how did you come up with like all these other producing names? Like, because you put out tracks under so many different aliases.
Loopholes. The loophole is that if you put out a record under one name, you can't use that name on another label. So I thought of the gimmick of just having different names so I could be out everywhere. So Todd Terry Project was signed to Sleeping Bag. Royal House was signed to Idlers.
Black was signed.
And I came up with all these things, but it's produced by Todd Terry.
And you did that, and when you went to a record store,
you know,
this is, now you go into a store, you go to these Europeans and they have sections.
Yeah.
You had a section then.
Nobody
had a section.
It's crazy.
Like you go and it was just no walk.
It's crazy to walk in. You was in Vinyl Mania. It was crazy walking in Vinyl Mania and, you know, 15 of your records is like on a wall. Like, you
all
know,
selling.
Just like, you know, like, it was just crazy. You know, so it keeps you, you know, it definitely keeps you motivated because you want to keep that status, you know, but it drove me crazy.
So what country was your favorite?
I don't know. I went to England for like, I don't know, 2 years in a row. Like I was just back and forth going to England. I don't think I went anywhere else. I think I went to Amsterdam or Germany in the beginning, but mostly was England. So that was like my favorite at first. And then like, I guess like 3 or 4 years later, I started hitting all these other countries and it was just total mayhem.
What was your favorite club to play in?
I mean, Ministry of Sound, without a doubt, was like the top club. You know, when we started that, we definitely changed the whole London history with that club.
So how often do you go back to London now to play?
I just came back here. Yeah. Well, I just we try to do, you know, I do like 10, 15 gigs a year in London easily, maybe more.
They had you out in Ibiza also, right? In
Ibiza, yeah, I do a lot of residency there. And, you know, it's like the last 3 years I've been doing 60 to 70 gigs a year, so it's crazy.
Is it exhausting? Is it?
It's definitely. I just came back from a trip, you know, I'm a little bit brain dead right now. I'm just going in and out of the conversations, like, what did he say?
But I mean,
keep up with it.
It doesn't get tiring though when you're on those.
It does get tiring. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
man?
but when you're out there in the, you know.
Well, I mean, the traveling is like it's just you got to put your brain.
Tiring, yeah.
You got to cut your brain off from what that travel was. And once you get in the club and the people are roaring for you, you got to give it to them. You got to give them everything you got. You know, but it's tiring. But then after that 2.5 hours or 3 hours, it just goes back to being drained again. Like,
but I think as an international DJ, you know, you were the first guy, and you still do it, which I say, like, you were kind of spoiled where, you know, most people go overseas, you know, the first couple times, and you want to, you know, accommodate the club. All these guys are technically into hard shit, whatever, you know. It's like, and you know, in London, every other fucking week, it's a different genre. You were the only guy, the first guy, who we used to joke about. I'm like, Todd can go there and just play Todd, and nobody had that power. So you can go there and play fucking Bango, like you play those same records and like leave. You can go with a half a crate of records and they go nuts, and he leaves.
I think it was just a change of sound. I think people, you go through all the techno and funk and soul and everything, and I think I was able to come in there and just change the sound a little bit for that period, and it just made it maybe a little bit interesting. It just sounded different, just a different energy, that I always try to bring to the table in, DJing something.
And what was the record overseas that you were like, all right, I'm out of Brooklyn, and you saw like thousands of people that...
Bango and Weekend, without a doubt, was just like ridiculous. Just like that was, like I said, that was the wake up call. Like, you can do this. You can get out your mom's house now.
So Bango was the biggest record.
Weekend was one of the biggest records. That was like number 4 in radio and stuff like that. That was pop charts. It was just like a whole different life when that came through.
Out of all the tracks, I mean, do you have a track that sticks out in your mind that you totally love? Well,
definitely, definitely, like he said, Missing was like definitely one of the tracks that. It was amazing how it stood out. I liked the song right away, and I felt as though that it was, something that I could easily just not change too much and just guide it to the dance floor.
With Missing, when that whole thing came about, I called you up, and Rich Christina was the guy who said to have it, and the thing about that record, and I always say this, whenever whenever it comes up, it wasn't what you did, was what you didn't do. Because anybody else would have taken it and put a fucking whatever they would have done. Yeah. You actually fixed the part that actually goes on beat, which nobody ever talks about. You fixed the part, but you put just the amount of drum, like you made it what it, you gave it exactly what it needed.
Well, I'm taught from, I'm also taught from Patrick Adams. Like, he was my engineer and my mentor in there. And what you're taught is a song is a song and a track is a track. So when you're dealing with a song, you want to keep the creativity that already made you love it. Yes. So, usually that's just like the pretty chords, the strings, and the song. So you don't really need to take that away. So when I'm trying to teach people how to remix, or, you really should, in remixing, you should only change like, a bass line and a beat and add a little tickle key and some crashes. Like, you really should just guide it to the dance floor, not make it. I think when it got to that point, when it got to that point where everybody's changing chords and adding string arrangements to remixes,
I will say
it was. Best at it was Louis and Kenny. They was the best at it because they was on key at least. Yes. But sometimes people would go in there, they just playing chords and it just didn't.
It had
match.
nothing to do with it. It was like
if you know music, that's wrong. Like I may have done it sometimes, but I know that you got to stay in a certain vein to stay in the key of the record.
Well, I remember before Missing, I was in many sessions with you and Kenny, Lou, and everybody, and you had snap rhythm as a dancer. Yeah. And I remember they gave you a thing like, Todd, you must keep his vocal in. And you were like, this fucking guy sucks. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, how's he going to get around it? So he comes in with turbo and you went, yo. And I'm like, that was brilliant. So he kept him in. But
I just took his best parts.
Took 2 fucking breaths.
I took his best parts.
And that was it. And like I listened to that record, it just kills me because he kept them in. But
no, he was a special MC.
It was great.
He's just a special guy. That's all,
So how do you stay? I mean, it's not easy.
Cocaine, man. It's just like, what do you think?
No, I'm saying, how do you stay relevant?
Get to the point, man. Come on.
How do you stay relevant as a DJ after
and a producer? I mean, because so many people like come and go. You have the one-hit wonders, but you've sort of, you came up and sort of established the game when the industry was forming. And like you're still here, so that's not an easy thing to do and to achieve.
Look, I admit I'm the biggest sellout that I can be. Sometimes you got to do collabos with some of the new kids that's out there. Some new kid comes out with a record, you call, yo, what up? Let's do a collabo. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like I work with a lot of these different cats now that are really dope. Josh Butler, Man Without a Clue, Dennis Quinn, Roog, you just grab all these kids. Say, yo, let's do collabo, and it just keeps you relevant because then you got the new guy that's got it.
You've always done that.
I've done that over the last 10 years. Proc and Fitch, all that. Because it's what happens is that just brings you to the forefront. If they're rocking with the kids, you got to jump into that. It's like I think a lot of these DJs and they're trying to keep it all real and dead. They're dead. Yes. They're just dying. And it's like, dude, you gotta get with the thing. Oh, I don't like that. Well, that's
too
many drum rolls.
I think it's hard because it's all about the ego. Like you're able to be like, you know what, I got to do this to keep it moving. And most people have an ego and say, "Fuck these kids."
Yeah.
And,
well, it's the love of music and it's the love of money, dude. Like it's like shit. You got bills to pay and you got family to take care of. You know it. It's like you got to keep it moving.
What about technology and how it's evolved and how the game of DJing has changed? What's your thought on that?
I mean, look, now I go to the club, pop in a flash drive, throw on my headphones, and go for 4 or 5 hours, 3 hours, whatever it takes. Back then it was, dragging these records. I'm breaking my back. It's like, you got to take somebody with you. It's like, I've had horrible experiences with vinyl just like getting stolen in Ibiza. Me and David Morales got our records stolen in Ibiza. So now you're showing up with one crate of records. And it's not the good crate. So I'm like flipping and playing A, and playing the backside, playing the little dub. Like, what is that? I never heard that. Like, yeah. But you got to do it. You're paid for this gig. You're already there. So you just gotta you just do the best you can. But then you get that one guy comes, yo, this was great, man. Like, thanks, bro.
And you're like, I didn't know the last half hour
I don't know what the hell I was playing, but yeah, great.
So do you prefer to mix these days, like on the CDJs and
yeah, the CDJs is the way to go. I really like it. I mean, the day that I go like computer, and I'm gonna
no Serato for you?
No, Serato thing is cool, but it's like if I'm gonna open up that computer, I'm gonna press a button and I'm just gonna put my hand up like this,
like everybody else.
Yeah, like a lot of guys. No, look, some guys if they're brought in, it's all what you brought up into. Yeah. If you're brought up into that and that works for you and that's your vibe and it works and it rocks the crowd, is all good. I'm not gonna never knock that.
Well, I think it fits for different types of DJs, right? Most of the house music DJs are playing off of memory sticks and the CDJs, where the hip hop DJs are playing off of Serato.
Yeah, they like because they like the vinyl feel and they're just used to that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. The technology of that, it kind of makes sense. They're still keeping it real and they're doing what they do, and you're still getting that real DJ action.
Do you think the DJ game is saturated right now? Do you think that there's so many DJs out there? And do you feel that, the way DJs used to come up back in the day is different now? Like today, It's like you could be an overnight sensation.
Everybody's DJ. My grandmother's a DJ, son. Like, it's just horrible. What are you gonna do? It's like everybody I run into, I'm, like some little chicks, little fine ass chicks. Like, I'm a DJ. I was like, I just want to bang you. I don't want to hear it. I'm just fucking.
At least he's honest.
I can't really think about you DJing right now.
I want to segue into Inhouse and your revamping of Freeze Records.
Yes.
Obviously,
Freeze is the biggest label in the world. If you just put that out there. Big. It's silly though, like Inhouse has been out there for a minute or whatever, and we just put out Freeze like a month and a half ago, and everybody, yo man, we put out a record on Freeze, man. Yo, Freeze is banging, man. I'm like, dude, it's the same shit. Like, seriously?
Especially whatever. Vinyl.
Perception. Yeah, perception is the key. It's just like people like it, give it to them. Don't tear it apart. Don't tear apart their dream of what they want it to be and what they want it to become. Give it to them.
Where do you think it's going to go at this point? I mean, I kind of feel that like you with the sticks. I think that's like I'm good with.
Yeah.
I'm
that's cool.
I went to a CDJ. I got Serato, but like the sticks to me, like I said, we have them in a pocket. We're
just pop it in.
I think
keep it on your keychain.
Do you think it's? I mean, I would think that's pretty much it. I can't see.
I like that whole thing. I like that vibe, because you got all the records that everybody needs and all your vinyl, like you're saving the quality of that, whatever, so it's like, and you still got the same feel. Look, a lot of my vinyl, I just put it straight to the flash. It's like pops and clicks and everything. I don't care. It's like, it's still
you shouldn't have that with Bill Klatt. I mean, that's,
he takes out the pops. Bill cleans up all this stuff. He makes it clean.
But what about like the sound though? Like vinyl had that sound on a sound system.
I can't tell the difference.
No,
I used to be able to tell. You can
tell
vinyl.
If you go see DJ Scratch, the guy's an incredible DJ, but it sounds like a fucking a car on Fifth Avenue, like in the summer. Like
no, you could tell the difference. The vinyl is warmer. It has just more of that 60 hertz bass thing. It just got a little bit of a different feel. But if you're playing in these big giant clubs, nobody's he's playing. You can't really tell. I see some guys, they carry all this vinyl and everything, and I kind of feel bad because they playing these venues.
Yeah.
That's just gonna hum, dude. Like this speaker's already like jumping the CD J up and down. Like, you know, like how are you gonna really put a record on it? The guy puts a record on, it's like I'm like, dude, put your flash in, son.
Is there?
It's just not that type of party.
Is there a sound system in a particular club that when you played on it, you were like, wow?
I mean, Ministry of Sound was like the craziest sound system to me ever, basically. Like it was ridiculous. It's just like you had to say, you know when a sound system's really good, when it's blaring, it's like it's pumping, and you can still hear yourself talk. Like that's how like linear and great it was. You know, you felt it in the chest and everything like that.
The system was good. I didn't really like the turntable setup.
Well, yeah,
to me,
you gotta ask for a different setup.
I just never was.
All that. Yeah. I mean, back in the days, all those rubber bands. Yeah, I used to have so much trouble with all that stuff because it's nerve wracking. You're mixing a record, and you just gotta watch every little thing. You gotta be very techno. The rubber band stuff was crazy.
The first time I went there, I went to the bartender and I said, "Do you give me some napkins?"
Yeah. I used to gum it up.
And CJ was like, "That's the most brilliant thing I've ever seen."
Yeah, I used to gum it up
because there was no way I would have been able to.
Oh yeah, I used to gum it up without a doubt with napkins and all that stuff, just so I could feel like I can, cut the record in and catch it, whatever. Because it's worst thing when it's you're going like this and it's bouncing and it's skipping and it's like, and now this record's gonna end. I mean, I've had incidents where the record would end. I just go, yeah, and people start screaming and I just throw on the record, yeah.
I meant to do that.
Yeah, I meant to do that, yeah. And they write it in the magazine, yo, he's the greatest. He stops the record. And crowd interacts. It's like I didn't know what to do. I was nervous. I didn't know what to do with it. That was the only thing I could think of.
You gotta be
like
showman.
Start screaming at everybody.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, because I was so angry that shit skipped and I couldn't even mix this shit in. So it is what it is.
So you're gonna play some records for us?
Play some records. I'm gonna play all my records. That's what Johnny said. He said, just play all your records.
Just play Todd. Nice. Todd can play Todd.
It's all good.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
yo, definitely, man. JD,
you're the man. You're the best.
Todd, thanks for coming down.
You got it.
So we have Todd Terry here, live from Redhook. He's gonna bless us with some tunes. He's gonna mix for us for the next hour. So we're gonna.
If anything fucks up, it's done on purpose. yeah. I meant to do that.
We'll do a lot. We'll stop it and just.
So we're gonna get him set up, and we'll be right back.
Cool.